Well, those who have been looking more deeply into the nature of our reality has been coming into expressions of similar kind when they refer to the life which we normally live. Some say it is like an illusion, Maya. Some say it is just like being in an intoxication. Some indicate it this way, that the human beings are in a certain kind of sleep. And Buddha goes so far to say that this life is suffering. One needs to consider it all very carefully and come to observe what is the nature of our reality. It's not enough if you are just agreeing with any of them or disagreeing with any of them in a blind way. Everybody needs to make the inquiry, confront the issues, face the reality the way it is, and come to the right understanding and come in terms with life. Nobody else's experience can substitute one's own need to come to the individual experiencing. Because only that what you really experience can be the basis for your clarity, for your flowering, for your fulfillment. Till we confront, we are in different ways trapped in a certain inner automatism. And this is what really is to be confronted. What is going on in us? From where does all this come? When we are reacting in certain ways, what is going on? On one side, we want just in the natural process that everything is comfortable, convenient, easy, pleasant. But we don't consider carefully and see that it is relative. That we experience pleasure only because we also know what pain is. When there is no experience of pain, we will not understand what pleasure really is. If all the time it is the same sensation, it will be as if when we don't know what darkness is, we will not understand light. If all the time we are only knowing brightness, we don't have a reference point to compare. And that is what relativeness means, that you always need to relate to something to understand, something opposite. Just like we understand the value of health when we also understand what it means to be not well, to get sick, to have difficulties with the body with different aspects. So, a human being who is wanting to get healthy in a deeper sense, go about life in a way that it becomes a ripening, a fulfilling, a joyous process, has to bring alertness to look at all these things and consider it carefully. What is the significance of all this? In a normal, unconscious and automatic way, we are only into reacting, being like every animal. But when you start considering things, then you are going deeper. Then you are starting to understand life. And this is very important for us human beings to understand the nature of our reality without getting trapped in any preoccupations and prejudices. That means an open way to look, an open way to consider, a conscious way to face the reality the way it is. So the reminders are just to help to realize the significance of this polarity in life and thereby not get trapped in the automatic reaction process. The disentanglement from the automatism becomes possible only when you learn to observe it. And that is when we can begin to really use the automatism where it is valuable and not be compulsively be trapped in it. That is when we start being able to use the mind where it is necessary and valuable and put it aside when you want to rest, when you want to be just with the depth of your reality. So these two reminders, when practiced, will be very supportive for that. And the first reminder is, whenever you are coming across situations which normally is interpreted by the mind as uncomfortable, problematic, negative, and there is a negative process of reaction coming, unhappiness, bitterness, anger, disappointment, resignation. Stop some moments and consider, when these kind of situations are not happening in your life and you are not able to experience the darker side of the reality also, will your life be joyous? Will your life be fulfilling? Can your life go in a intense and dynamic way when you don't experience and learn and ripen through all this, what appears at first only as problems? So you need to take some moments to consider it, stay with it. It is not only when there is apparent problem, when somebody is looking at you in an unfriendly way and you feel uncomfortable. Watch that. Because you need everything. You need friendly friends and unfriendly friends. You need to have every kind of situation in life Because it is in experiencing these things consciously that you become ripe, that you become capable to see that everything in life has its significance. That is when you will start understanding that when we don't confront life in a conscious way and consider things carefully, we get more and more trapped in reacting. And that is when life becomes more and more burdensome, more like a struggle, more going in the direction of pain and suffering. That is what Buddha is referring when he says that the life is dukkha. Because in our unconscious, automatic way of going, by and by, we get so trapped in this intoxication, in trying to cling to things which we cannot cling to, in fighting against aspects which should be dealt with in a different way, not by just fighting. So, until and unless we bring in consciousness and consider things, we get trapped in these reactions and the wrong interpretations about it all. Considering them means you go deeper. Considering them means you bring a quality of presence where you are not following the automatism blindly, but you are looking at it. And then you look at other aspects which is not included in this reaction. You look at other aspects which reveal to you that all that what life brings has some significance for you. And it is when this becomes really clear to you that it is not in changing what life brings blindly, but in learning to answer to the challenges of life, that you ripen, you grow. You start discovering the potential of intelligence. You start discovering the capacity of imagination, fantasy, creativity. So the more wakefully you consider these aspects, the more clear it becomes to you that it is your responsibility, your capacity as a human being, that you can answer to life rather than just blindly react and get more and more trapped, more and more burdened. So it becomes a liberating process. Every situation, every encounter, every news which is reaching you, which brings up any kind of automatic negative reaction, stay with it, consider it carefully, and look into the deeper aspects, other aspects which are connected with life and the significance of it. Significance also of challenges, pressures, difficulties. When you stay with it and not just go blindly with the reaction, not run away from it, not going into the judgment, oh, why this problem, why it should be like this, but just watch that this is all coming from the automatism you need to consider. That is when you see the relativeness of life, and it is in realizing that life is an interplay of these polarities. And when it becomes your deeper recognition, then your way of going about life becomes more mature. More clear, more peaceful, because you are not just going into the blind fighting process. And that is very, very valuable. That is what enables you to live really intelligently, gracefully, and live a life where you feel everything is in place, where you realize life is not a punishment, life is a blessing. The second reminder is just with the other side of the coin, whenever there are pleasant things happening. Somebody is friendly, some things are happening which you like. Consider then also, is it not also a passing phenomenon? Is it also not something which you are experiencing in this way because you also know the other side of the coin? Is it also not something which you cannot hold to and settle with? Because these are feelings which come and go. These are situations which change. So this way you become more alert about the transitoriness of life, that everything is going on changing. And this is very important to realize it, because the more it becomes conscious to you, the more you relax. Because then you see that you cannot hold to things which is in the very nature of the reality impossible. When everything is moving and changing, trying to hold to that what is not possible to be held only brings disappointment, suffering, pain. So this is the ancient teaching which, when you consider very consciously and deliberately, will give you a certain inner distance to this excitement and intoxication of it, where you get lost. You enjoy life, but you know that one has to go gracefully about it. It is also something which you cannot settle with, you cannot hold to. So this is what is important, that to be with the life without getting lost in reactions. To be with the life process in such a way that it becomes a ripening, it becomes a flowering, it becomes a joyous process where you discover and get more inwardly clear. That is how one stays with this intoxication without getting lost in it. When you are able to see the intoxication as an intoxication, you are not drunk. You are able to observe it. You are rising above it. And that is the right way to be in the world. And that is what in some mystical traditions they are reminding, to be in the world but be not lost in the world. To be in the marketplace but don't let the marketplace enter into your heart. These are indications which are very valuable, and these reminders which you can work with will be very supportive to bring about a very valuable ripening and clearing process in your life.